Aloha, kakahiaka, everybody. Good morning. We are up in my studio in Alapio in the Pupukea area. We're right above the Waimea Bay area, all right? So if that's a reference for where we are on Oahu, North Shore. Anyway, and as usual, we're gonna do another episode of our studio sessions. It's just me and we don't have Mary Jean, all right, but we have Ann. We can't do this without Ann. So our GM, producer, director is at it again. Say hi to Ann, everybody.
Aloha.
Okay, there you go. Notice how her voice changed whenever she that's her professional voice.
Aloha, Tabora.
What's your favorite color? Anyway, if you're new to this thing that we're doing, all right, we're not polished, but as you will find out, all right. But what we're trying to do is give you a candid look of how things are at my studio, all right. We hardly ever take anything seriously around here, except for always producing our best work. That's the only thing that really matters to us. But we go about it in such a way that we can be ourselves, all right? And we are really like this, right? If you were to come visit us at some point and you sit at one of the couches over here to hang out and just be around while I'm painting, this is how it's gonna be, okay? But even though we do all of these things, there are things that we can do here on the canvas. This is the 40-inch by 30-inch canvas that I'm working on. It's a sunset. I'll describe what I'm doing as best as I can. I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to just painting, all right? So what I'm trying to do is keep in mind that I should share with you why I'm doing what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And that hopefully will help you with the work that you do, all right? And several people have already said that it was very instrumental in what they're doing. It erased some question marks. It answered some questions that they had. But if I don't address a particular situation you may have, well, you can participate by asking the question, and Anne will field the questions. A lot of this stuff she already knows, so she can answer it herself. But the good thing is whenever she is either not sure or it's a new question to her, then she will toss it to me. And I promise you, if I know the answer, I'll share it with you, okay? And the reason people are always saying, wow, that's so generous of you to do it this way. And well, the price is right? Free. But I'm just perpetuating what it was that I went through, learning, getting started, getting to where I am now. And that came by way of people generously sharing with me their wisdom, their knowledge, all right? They tend to want to have me avoid some of the pitfalls that they have encountered. And I agree with that, especially when I look back now at the generosity of friends, acquaintances, and relatives that were so kind and just chose to be those that helped instead of hindered. All right. So I'm not very stingy with things that I know. In fact, I tend to be the opposite and just say, look, if this will help you, this is what I did. Okay, and you can check that out. So I said all of these things so that you guys have some background information as to why we're doing what we're doing. And that's basically it, okay? And for those of you that are new, we've been around for a long time. I've been a professional since 1982, okay? And we have several galleries. We have one in Waikiki at the International Marketplace on the second floor, closer to the main drag, which is Kalakaua Avenue. We've had several locations all along in Waikiki, but that's where we are now. We have a location on Front Street in Lahaina, Maui. That's new. We just opened that one last October. And then we have one closer to where I live on the North Shore of Oahu, in Haleiwa. Okay. And surfing capital of the world.
Yep.
So, and then we're working on other locations, but for now, that's where we're at. And so anyway, without further ado, as the saying goes, we'll get into it. Again, remember that if you have any comments, questions, or whatnot, make sure you let Ann know, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Okay. So today, I'm going to work on the ocean part that I did the last session. All right. And so this, the ocean is, this is just the first coat. Okay. So today I'm going to refine it, and I'm going to bring it to a place where there's more details, and hopefully on the foam area, be able to reflect some of this light that's coming from almost behind the mountain before it kind of sets, right? So the color theme will be consistent, because it's really cool. These colors are really cool. You guys will notice against a very warm background, right? So you try not to let that get to you when it's that way, knowing that at some point that will be resolved. Okay, and we are going to do some of that today as well. Hang up.
You're good.
Allied Movers.
I'd like to, I'm going to be high from the back on this side.
Okay, you better rephrase that.
Oh.
All right. So we'll take a break from highlighting the giclées, which I was doing all weekend.
Oh, that's great. There's probably so many to get done.
There was a lot, and so I'm down to a handful now. Let's see how many I got 4, 5, 6, 7. Got 7 left to go. Yeah, and also that's the other thing. Where's the? Oh, I'm talking here, right?
Yep.
The so that for the record, for those that don't know, I don't have a team that does the embellishing or highlighting or uniquing on the giclées. All of those were done by me here on my easel. So if you have a giclée of mine that has highlighting on there, it spent time on my easel, and I was the one that put every stroke on that image that you have. Okay. So
that's pretty cool. A lot of artists just don't have the time to do that anymore.
Well, everybody chooses the way they need to do things, but the main thing is you're honest. You tell people what you're doing, and it's either they accept it and they think it's fine, or they don't. So full disclosure, I just want everybody to know that that's the way we've always done it. We've never deviated from that. And then what I try to do as well is that when I am working on a giclée, obviously for either limited or open editions, there's multiples of those images, right? And in order to combat the possibility of getting bored if you're not in a hyped up mood that day, I do make the effort to try and change it up a little bit. So my effort is not to make them all identical. Okay, my effort is to vary it up a little bit and still keep the spirit of that particular image, that painting. That makes it interesting for me, and which is something that I can get excited about. And of course, as you know, whenever you're excited about what you're doing, you tend to do a much better job. Okay, so it's a simple philosophy behind that is to just try to be excited about what you're doing, because let's face it, we're some of the luckiest people on this planet, right? So we have every reason to be full of gratitude pretty much all the time, no matter what, right? Okay, so that is how the giclées are done. Okay, all embellished by me, yours truly. Actually, in some cases where I would do live painting at the galleries, this is all pre-pandemic times. If the folks are there and if all the other criteria matches up, I might allow them to, touch it up a little bit themselves, right? Sit at the easel and for whatever thrill it'll give them, that has value. But most of the time they just let me do it.
I'd like to mention he's never let me do it.
And I'd like to mention that there's a good reason for that.
I've been working on the drop thing though. I have a new phone, so cannot drop it.
No.
Getting better.
We're not going to do any of that. Okay. So what we'll do is let me work on doing the foam. Okay, so that the patterns are more detailed and more vivid. Okay.
So when you do the foam on this one, because this is blues and it's going to have some sunset coming through, the foam is always white?
Well, the foam is always white, but it's going to reflect what's above it, right? So and then I try to push that a little bit more because it's a painting, right? And so that allows you to not necessarily always stick to quote the science part of it, okay? Because when you're trying to be expressive, you certainly don't want to be limited by convention, okay? Much like I have musician friends, okay? I have friends that that write poetry and whatnot, right? And those guys are not gonna allow proper grammar to dictate to them how they're gonna write their songs, okay? And I agree and support that, right? The main thing is that the final result is something that is pleasing to, first of all, the artist, and then hopefully it will gain an audience in a positive way, okay? And it's always not certain that that's what's going to happen, okay? And that's okay. That's part of the game, right? Your personal views and your methods of expression is obviously just yours and yours alone. And then for those that are able to relate to it, well, they will gravitate towards that, right? So it's a good idea to know, what they say, what the rules are, so you can break them properly, okay, or bend them, or whatever you got to do. But it's because you have knowledge of how it's supposed to be, and then you're gonna put your spin on that, okay, to make it work for your project that you're doing, right? So as much as these guys are, obviously foam is white, but under these conditions, we're going to adapt it so that it fits in better. We're going to keep the blue colors of the water and tweak it a little bit so that there's not a big departure from the coolness of the colors here and the warmth of the mountains and the light in the back. All right, they somehow need to make sense together in a way that is pleasing to the eyes, for number one, but also we're able to keep the coolness of the water intact. Okay, so that that's the project. That's what we got to do here, okay? And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna start off by defining the foam patterns better. All right, and then once that is established, then I will know what I got to do to the coolness of the water to make it adapt to the warmth of the light. Okay. Didn't know there was a whole lot of things going on, did you?
No, it's awesome.
You thought it was just like, you know what, figure out where the numbers are and fill them in. Oh, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
So when you start painting on your canvas, you can look at the other camera because I got a nice little close-up of you.
Good, got sign that says, look here.
Yeah, that's right. Look there. It's good direction.
Okay.
But while you're mixing your paint, I got you on the other one.
All right.
Got a little liquid, titanium
Yeah,
white.
right. Good, liquid, titanium white. Right, you might want to make a kind of a big batch because you kind of know the area. Now, if you're experimenting with your colors, don't mix a big batch, right? You do that when you're sure of what kind of proportions you want, right? Otherwise, you're gonna waste a lot of paint, and that's not cheap.
So the liquid, are you making how do you mix the liquid in with the paint to get the right consistency? You're looking for something that's thick or gloppy, or how do you know how much to use of each?
Okay, first of all, we don't use the word gloppy.
I'm pretty sure it is an art term.
Okay, not the school where I went, but okay, that's fine. We can accept that. Well, since you can do it any which way you like, whatever works for you. Okay, whatever I show here is the way I do it, right? But you don't have to do it that way. You can just take the spirit of what I'm doing and you can apply your own way to it. And if it happens to work better, if you put a spin on what I'm doing, then do that, right? If you want to try what it's like to paint the way I do, then stick to what I'm doing, and then later on, if you want to deviate from that, you can, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the thing about these studio sessions that we do, is that it's not a recipe like how recipes are, that you got to follow those things exactly, so you end up with the picture that accompanies that recipe, right? Mm-hmm. You can deviate, right? All I'm trying to do is explain to you why I'm doing it this way. And if you have a better way of getting there that works for you, by all means, do it that way. That's not necessarily wrong, that's just different, okay? But what's important is the final result, that you get what you want. And to answer Ann's question about the consistency, I am going to not make my mix very fluid. All right, I hardly ever do that unless I'm putting down a glaze. All right, when it's glazes that I'm doing, then as you guys know, or maybe you don't. If you don't, it's a thin coat of a color over an existing color that's dried. All right, and so that consistency allows the bottom dried color to show through and mix with whatever color glaze you're putting on. A best way to illustrate that is if you have, let's say, a yellow cellophane, okay, that you can see through, but it tints everything yellow, right? And so if you aim that at something that's red, you're gonna see something that's orange, right? Because you got this yellow film over this red thing. You never physically mix the color orange, but the color you perceive is orange, okay? That's rather simplistic, but that's basically how that works, okay? Very important that the bottom color is dry, right? Because you don't really want to physically mix it, you just want to mix it optically, okay?
Oh, Debbie and Tallulah are on this morning.
Debbie and Tallulah, good morning.
We got Karen Skaleski. She says she loves our Front Street Gallery.
Oh, thanks, Karen. Appreciate it.
Muhammad Asghar is on this morning.
Hey, welcome, Muhammad. How are you?
Matthias is on.
Matthias.
He wonders, have you ever been a surfer?
No. That used to come up early in my career. Not so much anymore. I guess they figure, they look at me and goes, no way. But when I was a younger person, I was kind of built like maybe I could surf, but no. Yeah, I did most of my engagement with the ocean from the beach, especially now. So good morning, all. I don't know if it's morning where you are, but it's morning where we are.
Oh, hey, I missed. What color is that? Indigo?
No.
It's pretty. It's really pretty. It looks like a delicious frosting on a cupcake.
It's manganese violet.
Oh, I could have told you that.
Why didn't you?
Just in case you were tricking me.
You gotta know. I'm always.
Have you ever used a? You don't have any titles of your art with the word violet, do you?
Yes.
You do?
No.
Oh. I like that.
And I don't have a painting nicknamed Tallulah either.
That's true. I like the name Violet.
Okay.
I should have another kid.
Are you canvassing for votes?
Oh, yeah, that's a pass.
Okay, we're gonna. This is cobalt blue.
Ooh.
Again, when you're mixing stuff, try to do it in such a way that you don't get rid of the other mix all the way, so you can compare the two. Okay. So that basically made the thing a little darker.
You got a clump in there. Is that a clump of paint or liquid?
This?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, it's more like a glob.
A glob. Okay.
I think a clump is bigger.
All I can say is we're really lucky that I can't write on top of the video my commentary in my brain.
Okay. Yeah, we're very fortunate.
All right, we're coming in on the side view of you painting the foam.
So yeah, you can see. I don't know if you can notice that it's lighter than what's on there already. All right. And what I'm gonna do is, I know that this part of the foam is gonna get hit by the light, right? So logically, this will get much brighter than what's on the face of the wave, right? So maybe what we should do, for everybody's sake, because I can start anywhere and end anywhere I want, right? But for the sake of those that are watching, let's start off where it's dark or darker, okay? Which is the face of the wave. Now where it's thick, it shows, but when it gets to the thin part, it will actually get silhouetted, right? Because it's getting lit from behind, and it's not getting hit from the front, right? But over here, it's going to get hit by bouncing light everywhere. So let's do that. Okay.
I'm gonna try using this camera over here to zoom in to
Which
see
one?
if I
That one?
yeah.
Okay.
So maybe I can get a better contrast of the color.
Okay.
See if the light is better. It's a little bit cloudy and rainy this morning in Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
I have to wear a jacket in the summer. That means it's cold outside.
You're like the barometer for the state. What is Ann wearing? Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Must be chilly.
Must be. Okay, so you can see how bright it is, even though it's kind of dark on the palette, right?
Yeah.
But that's okay, because it's supposed to be white foam, right? But let's put some more color into it, so it's not so white. And that's cobalt blue and manganese violet and titanium white is what I'm using. Now, if you don't have these colors, try to get something that's similar, and that'll be fine. Okay. So let's compare that with this. Okay, now I think that is much better. Okay, it's still light, but it's not a bright light. Okay, because we can always make it brighter later on, right? But right now, all we're concerned about is creating definition. All right, so let's do that. And I'm just making this up, okay, the patterns. But if you have references that you could use, I suggest you do that until you're familiar enough that you feel confident that you can just make it up without ending up with a weird pattern, okay? And that way too, whenever you have a reference, you're inadvertently training your eye-hand coordination to be better and better, right? To be able to execute exactly on what it is that you see rather than what you imagine. You can always imagine stuff later on, all right? You will have put into your files from all the times that you use the reference. It's all in there, okay? And when you're in a situation where you don't have a reference, well, you actually do. It's a mental reference now, right? Why? Because you loaded it up all those times. So it's a good thing, right? You don't have to feel like, oh, you want to be that painter that doesn't use a reference. That's unnecessary, okay? Do what it takes to help you get your project done the way you like it. If you got to use a reference, use a reference. There's no shame in that. I used a lot of references when I was first getting started because I wasn't familiar with all of the things that I should have been familiar with, but at that time I wasn't. So I needed help. So I got help any which way that I can. And now I don't use it as much anymore. I still use references when I'm doing birds and stuff, so that the anatomy is correct. And you'll notice I'm not covering all of the previous work that I had done. Okay, some, but not all. And the reason for that is so that I will have a variety of the foam that's either on top of the water or some that are just below the surface, right? And those combinations help convince the viewer of what you're trying to do, all right? If it's kind of one-dimensional, which is not how it happens most of the time, that may get in the way of appreciating what you've done. So keep that in mind. And like I said, if you have references, you will know that. What are you trying to do?
I was going to set up a camera just on the paint colors. Oh. But.
Well, you could use duct tape.
Oh, that would be great. I need just a little, I want the cord on there, so it's okay. Keep going, I'll work it. It'll either work or won't.
It's painful for me to watch it.
I know.
Knowing that
I'm so on the cusp of trouble.
There's a way to do that.
If I didn't break your thing, I would be fine.
Well, there's a list of stuff that was broken around here.
I did?
Oh yeah. Yeah, who else? It's always the one that said, I didn't do it.
It's not me.
That's the first person I investigate.
good. It's good. It looks good. I like it.
What?
I can see my picture of just the palette. It looks nice. It's good.
Okay.
And just like that, there's a pattern in the ocean. It's magical.
It's not just like that. Again, it's just the cobalt blue and the manganese violet. Those are the colors I'm using.
Oh, we have someone new, Dennis Tauhiro.
Hey Dennis, welcome.
Steve Fuller's on watching.
Hey Steve.
Matthias wishes we had better cameras. This
We're
is
gonna-
the newest iPhone.
We're gonna pass the hat in a little while.
We need a better camera person, not really a camera.
I don't know about that. More cobalt blue. Let's see, I'm running out of my mix here, so I'm gonna make some more. And again, I'm gonna leave a little bit of what my old mix was so I can match it. Like so. All right, so these are like little things that you can incorporate into your procedural stuff, so it make life easier for you.
This is my favorite kind of brush. It's the long brush that looks like it's dancing when it's hopping all over. I love that.
Yeah, well, it's scumbling.
Scumbling, that's right, it is. It's a scumble. It's a scumbler. Taking on a life of its own.
Yeah, so basically whatever's left over from the loaded brush after I had applied on there, I'm just pressing on the brush a little bit more and making use of all the leftover little bits of paint on there. And obviously, since there's hardly any paint left, your strokes are not going to be as vivid. But in this case, that's exactly what you want for the effect, because you can see the effect of when the strokes are solid and the paint is more solid that you had applied. But when you're scumbling, you're just basically putting a thin coat of paint over an existing dry surface, and then it kind of just sits on top of it like that, and it doesn't opaquely cover everything underneath, right? So the color underneath still shows through a little bit. This used to be very, very dark, but now that I've scumbled part of the paint on there, it's more it's lighter, all right, but it's not bright, right? It doesn't want to stand out. It's still back there, right? Because obviously it's still in the shadows, right? All right, like so. Okay, so that's the first setup that we're gonna do, and now I'm gonna extend the foam pattern onto the more horizontal surface from the face of the wave. And we'll, this is not the ultimate color that it's going to be, right? And I'm just setting it up for all of the other sessions I'm going to do with it, which is I'm going to basically warm it up, okay? But I don't want to put the yellows on here just yet. I'm going to put buffers on in between the final reflection of the sun on the foam and the water itself, so that nothing turns green. Right, so I'm putting down all the kind of lavender purplish shades on here first, and then from there, well, you'll see what I mean. I'm gonna when I start to switch off, you'll see, right? But again, it's all done in steps, and it's all done in steps for a good reason. And I knew this from all the times I did it wrong.
The reason he sees the camera as blurry is because it's on autofocus, and so when the canvas moves or your hand cuts in front of where the focus line is, it refocuses all the time, so it goes blurry because it's trying to refocus on something.
I think it's operator error.
Well,
No, I hear you. I hear you.
I'm thinking if it was on manual instead of autofocus, we'd be in a lot more trouble.
But manual called in sick today, so we can't rely on manual.
Yeah, I was like, oh, manual. No, that's not good. Manual focus.
Who's that?
That's the my when I have it on Facebook on my computer, it's the sound is picking up more than just our music. It picks up
What?
our moments of laughter.
Oh, our conversation?
Yeah.
You mean? Oh.
Yeah, but it's behind. Oh, Roy Bolin is on.
Hey, Roy, how are you?
Aloha Nui.
Aloha, aloha.
Wish I
Katehiyaka.
had more time to watch your creativity and skills. It does make me appreciate your work.
But he's got more important things to do.
But, sorry, I gotta take out the garbage.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Matthias likes our music. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thanks.
We actually get it from Epidemic Sound, which is really great.
Not epidemic.
Yeah, that's right. Nice and chill. Cindy's on this morning.
Cindy, welcome. Okay.
Oh, Debbie
Debbie.
said the first time she saw your work in Honolulu, it was the painting Softly Glows the Night on her honeymoon.
What?
And she regrets not buying one, so now she has to buy a Tallulah.
Oh. Yeah, don't hang on to that regret. There was a reason for that was unknown at the time, but it brought us to this time right here, right? So that's a good thing. All right. Gotta stay hydrated, folks. And one of the things you keep in mind when you're doing this is don't make things too neat. Okay?
Because it doesn't look real?
Yeah, because it's really not that neat. maybe in our minds it looks like it's neat, but you have to emulate as best as you can how it really is. And then people's imaginations will take over from there. But if it's too neat, it doesn't match what people have in their heads. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that works against you. And that lesson came to me when I was, I think, still in middle school, and my uncle that was teaching me at the time gave me a reference of like a dock, okay, where there's a lot of fishing boats and whatnot, and I was painting it. And he said I did a good job as far as the draftsmanship. So the boats were where they were, and the platforms were where they were, but my colors were too clean, and the clean look doesn't match what it is. It's so he kind of, quote, dirtied it up a little bit. He did it, right?
Did you like that when you did it? Were you like, oh, you're wrecking my painting?
Oh no, attitude is not allowed as a student. When you're a student, all right, first thing you got to remember is you're a student.
Okay.
You're not the teacher. You don't argue. You listen, right? And then later on, when you got your own thing going on, then you can be the teacher, and you ask everybody that's interested to just listen, right? Because you're imparting good stuff on them. Mm-hmm. That's not meant to be argued. Right? If you're going to argue, then don't be a student.
Right.
Right? But when he did that, it just clicked that I was very close to getting it right, but not close enough. Mm-hmm. And when he did what he did, I knew right then that I was that close. If I had only dirtied it up a little bit, which meant my colors were too clean, right? And the docks will never look that clean. And anybody that's looked at docks, not to investigate or figure out what things look, no, they just have an idea of what it should look like. And you have to somehow get close to that, if not match it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense to the appreciator. And when he did that, I go, okay. And there was a big difference. And it only took less than a minute.
Wow.
So I was a minute away, if I was doing the right thing, from getting it to be more acceptable visually. And so that was the lesson to me, was that, you know what, you can't just get the right colors. The feel has to be correct as well. And in the end, it's the feel that's important. Is that me or you?
It was me.
Okay, there are times I'm using just the tip of the brush if I want the stroke to be precise and small, yeah? And then there are times that I press down on it a little harder so I can cover more of an area. So, you got to know as well how the pressure on your brush can affect what you're doing. You may do everything correctly except for that part of it, and then that part of it ruins the thing, and then you think you did everything wrong, when in fact you may have done only one thing incorrectly. So, but these are the kind of things that, you know, you learn when you paint a lot, when you practice, right? So it's all good. All of it's good. You know, every painting session you have, you ought to be able to advance and elevate your skill set. You know, if you understand what's going on, as you know, you should. Otherwise, you will have wasted your opportunity. You squandered your opportunity to learn. Right. And when I'm scumbling this color on here, I am really reducing the brightness of a lot of the darks that I have, which is, you know, it's a good thing. And then on the body of the brush, I have more paint that's not used because I was only using the tip. So now, when I lay the brush down a little bit with more pressure, I can access all that paint in the rest of the body of the brush. All right. And I'm following the curvature of the face of the wave. Here, it's kind of straightforward over here. And then as it's starting to climb up and turn over, I'm following that surface a little bit more, right? Again, I don't have much paint on my brush, so the strokes sometimes skip, but in this case, it's perfect. That's exactly the stroke that I want to leave on the canvas, so that it's not always precise and perfect. Again, not too clean, not too neat, but not formless either, right? Like this area right here, I think I want to make the darks seem to be spaced about the same, so I want to change that. Let's see, let's do this. Okay, that's better. Trying to make that edge a lot softer by putting in this color that I got on the palette right on the edge there, and it acts as a buffer between this area and this area here. You know, and you're still able to let the value remain, you know, somewhat on the dark side, even though you're adding a lighter color to it. It still works. And in fact, you can carry it over here a little bit more. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that looks right. Now more of the manganese violet and the cobalt blue because I'm running out of the dark mix. Okay, you gotta remember that this part here is like a shadow, yeah, cast by this guy right here. So careful not to lighten it up too much. I don't have a lot of paint on my brush at this point, so I am doing some scumbling. Just pressing down on the brush, being able to access some of the color that's on the brush that's closer to the heel of the brush rather than the point. Softens it up a little bit, and also I'm trying to soften up the aqua color, yeah, because we don't want it too stark, and we can do that by imagining that there's as the waters are hitting and the foam is created and it's bouncing up like a mist, right? Mm-hmm. So as vivid as this area is, you can kind of scumble part of that and I'm gonna just do this part right here so you guys can see the difference between this area and this area right here. Right? It's softer, right? It's not as bright. Okay, so now we'll do this one as well. And the aqua is still there. It's obviously still aqua in color, or turquoise or whatever you want to call that, but it's softer, right? And you can tell because this guy here is from the last underpainting. When you compare that, this is much harsher, yeah? It's higher chroma. The brightness is much more than here, okay? And then we'll put some more bouncing foam on there. That's much, much nicer. Okay. Now let's do the same to this side. Okay. So again, it's the same mix. Yeah, the same mix that I use for here. Now it's just thinner, right? So that I don't completely cover the color that's underneath. And I'm putting down my strokes lightly, just feeling for what kind of colors get deposited based on the amount of pressure I put on the canvas. And if I'm not depositing any color on there, then that means the color is further up on the brush, which means I just got to press down a little bit more to access that paint. Okay. Or if I want to keep using just the tip of the brush, then load up on the paint, right? But in the meantime, everything's getting much softer. Okay, a little bit more. Much softer. Much softer and much better. Okay.
Cindy wants to know what kind of brush you're using, the make and type.
I got it from Dick Blick, the art supply store, DICK, and it's the Scholastic Wonder White. Scholastic Wonder White.
White.
Wonder White, yeah.
Oops. Same word, Wonder White, one word.
I'm sorry?
Is Wonder White one word?
No, it's two words.
Oh.
Wonder and white.
Oh, I wonder why. Does it say a number?
No, there's only one Scholastic. Oh, you mean the size of the brush?
Yeah, is that a 2 or?
Well, I use again. You know what? Try not to pay attention to the number.
Okay.
Look at, for all the artists out there, don't rely on the number so much. Look for the size of the brush visually, and if you think that's a small enough brush for your purpose, then do that. If you know what I mean, judge by the how it looks to you rather than the number it says. Okay, because brushes are not consistent. They have their own numbering system, right? So don't rely on something that's not consistent. But what is consistent is what you see, right? If you see that looks like the right size brush, okay, then try that. If it's too big, then go smaller, right? Just do it that way. After a while, you will get a feel for what will work for you. In the beginning, yeah, it's kind of a little harsh, but that won't last forever.
So we've got someone from Tahiti that doesn't speak English. Wish that he could understand better.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Mike Maggiano is on.
Hey, Mike. How are you, brah?
Ron's on.
Hey, Ron. Welcome.
Linda's on. Oh, thanks, Linda. Wishing me a happy birthday.
Uh-huh. Did you tell everybody how old you are?
I'm older than 50. And younger than 55.
I still don't get the whole deal with that. It's like you should be proud of every year.
That's right.
Right? I mean,
Hey.
when you think about it, it's like, hey, I lasted a lot longer than a lot of people.
That is right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's something to be proud of, I
Yeah.
thought, but for some reason it didn't work out like that.
Living in Hawaii keeps you young. Having young kids keeps you young. Eating steak only keeps you young.
Well,
And a little bit of ice cream. Oh, Steve wondered if this was a commission or going to a gallery. Actually, Steve, it could go to your house.
hey, Steve, you left yourself wide open for that. You were talking to Ann Wood, remember? I think he thought for a second he was talking to Earl. It's not a commission.
It's available and can be purchased right off the easel.
Well, not right off the easel, but pretty damn close. Yep, it's working.
I like it.
Not as if I had any doubts, but hey, you know what? One of the things that's really good about what I do, no, it's that, you know what? There's still that chance you may screw it up. That's okay. That keeps you, hopefully, focused, right? So that you don't, right? And anytime I think you get to a point where you take anything for granted, anything, not just this, that's when the things start to go south, okay? That's the beginning of it, right? So whatever it is we're talking about, don't take it for granted. And I visualize the thing, but and I get pretty good at that because I've been doing that a lot. But still, you just don't know. Maybe you visualized it before your coffee. Who knows, right? Okay, so now we are going to address this area here, the face of the wave here, okay? And this area is brighter, right? So this area here will not be the same brightness as this, because if you did it the same brightness, then this area will want to come forward like this guy, all right? Which is exactly what you don't want. So we're going to make the foam darker here, and not only darker but less bright, okay? So we'll need a different mixture for that. And by different, I mean we're going to add on something to the old mixture, right? The old mixture was the violet, right? With the cobalt blue, right? But let's add some of you guessed it, indigo.
Ooh.
Right?
Shocker.
I wasn't prepared for that.
What?
Then that means you didn't do your homework.
What? Indigo.
Yes.
I didn't even know they sold that anymore. Seems like it was sold out.
By everybody buying it.
Yeah, now everyone's buying
I
it.
should get a share of that indigo sales. Okay, so right there, by comparison with all the other mixtures, you can tell that it's darker. Okay, that's what you wanted. But is it darker here? Right? And it's still a little bit lighter, all right, which is close. It's close. Okay. I like it enough. I mean, because the thing is you wanna improve on what it is that you have on here to begin with, right? And remember, this is not the star of the show, so you don't want this area standing out. You just wanna define it a little bit more. So it may get a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter, but the key phrase is a little bit. Okay, not as bright, but more defined. Okay, not as bright, but more defined. Like some people we know. Oh, some people know more people than others. Scumbling in this area here after I used up most of my paint. and that dulls all the dark areas in that space right there. And I'm gonna dull out some of the darks down here as well. All right. And the reason we want to do that is, some of you guys already know, is you want to lower the chroma, all right? That's the brightness of the color, whether it's light or dark, all right? And that's a question of value, light or dark, right? But another component of the color is its brightness, or if you want to put it in other in ways that you can understand a little bit better, just think of it as the volume, right? Is it loud or is it not loud or soft, right? So we don't want this loud, right? So we want to tone down the brightness, the chroma, the saturation. There's different words for it, but basically you don't want it glaring out at you like this. This you do, all right? Because that is your focal point, okay? So relatively speaking, right, this cannot be as bright as this. All right, so you want to tone this down. Even if you have to exaggerate a little bit, that's fine. Okay. So this is dark. That's a dark color, right? And when you look at this whole area right here, right, not the rocks, right, but just even with the landmass behind the wave here, this color is bright. Yeah, it's a dark bright. Okay. But we don't want that, right? Because in that area right here, this color, this dark color wants to come forward. It wants to jump out, right? But we don't want that. We don't want that. So we're gonna tone that guy down. We still want it dark, but we don't want it. We don't want a bright dark. Okay. So what we'll do, again, not very limited color. I'm gonna put here. This is the indigo, right? I got it on my brush, and we're just gonna dull it a little bit, right? Like so. And everything else that's kind of bright, like this guy here, right? Tone that volume down. I'm just scumbling whatever paint's left on my brush. Just going over it over and over until I get the right chroma down to where I need it to be. Okay, so now when you look at it, it's still dark, but it's not a bright dark anymore. Okay, that's what you want. You're welcome.
Tip for the day.
Well,
At 1 hour and 21 minutes.
has it been an hour and 21?
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll
it's
take
time
a
for a break.
We'll take a break in about what, 9 minutes?
Oh, she's not now? Okay.
Okay, we can go now.
Can we go now?
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
good. We'll take a quick
All
break.
right. Okay.
Hey.
We'll see you guys later. Shortly.
All right.